Hey everybody, welcome to a Cricut craft tutorial. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel. All you have to do is click that big red box that says subscribe, and then click the bell icon because that will let you know when I post a new video. Today we're going to do this awesome, really cute wooden Olaf sign. This is a great decoration for Christmas time or for all winter or even for a little girl's room who just loves Frozen. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and stain our wood. This is a I believe it's considered a 2x10, or I think it was an 8x10 we bought it, but this is a 2x10 piece of pine now. So I'm going to show you guys just a quick little trick. Use an old sock, and I put a plastic bag inside the sock so that it doesn't get on my hands while I'm staining. You can see I've used this stock before for staining. It works really well. It's super easy to do. Staining is not, some crazy hard thing. So you just wipe it on. And this is a really dark stain, and I chose this because I wanted our Olaf to stand out really, really well. So I picked a dark stain because I wanted everything else is so bright, and with the lights, I thought that the dark stain would look really, really nice against all of our bright stuff. So I am staining in my house. I don't like to do it, but I will do it if I have to. It is way too cold outside to do this. Luckily with these smaller pieces, it's not too bad if you stain in the house. They don't smell too bad. I will say make sure you do wipe with the grain. And if you don't like the color, you can always make it darker by going over it with more coats. But you just want to make sure that you get it into the wood really well. You just want to make sure that it's well wiped in there. Now I do have a couple little spots I see that are a little bit light, but that's alright. Olaf is likely going to cover up the one little spot, so I'm just going to leave that behind, and that'll be fine. Now I am going to do the edges on this one because you will see those when we have our sign up. So to do our edges, I just simply turn my board a little bit, and hopefully you guys can see, and I just take the stain and just wipe it on. Make sure that when you do this that you're not getting it all over the top of your board, or you're going to end up with like a weird line. Now this is kind of an awkward board. I could have sanded it and probably gotten a slightly better edge to it, but I just didn't care because again the top and the bottom I'm not super worried about people seeing. It's mostly the sides of this, and we're not going to do the back on this one either. Because again, nobody's going to see that. It'll be up against stuff. It's not really a big deal. So we're going to get this all stained. And you're going to want to go and make sure, after you've done the sides, you're just going to want to double check all around your top to make sure that there aren't any blobs that you may have left behind. So I just like to kind of give it a quick little one more wipe before I finish, and then I'm going to let this dry. This will dry for several hours. Currently, our house is extremely cold, so it's going to take even longer. We are without gas right now due to an outage, so it is going to take a little while for that to dry, but we'll let that dry. While that dries, we'll go ahead over to Design Space and design our sign. We're ready to make our Olaf sign here in Design Space, and the first thing that I'm going to start with is a shape, and I'm going to use a square. And I'm doing this so that I have a template that'll help me design my sign on. Click the unlock button, which is right down here in the lower left-hand corner. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the dimensions on our sign. So we know that it should be, I believe, 9.5 wide. And actually, I take that back. It's 9 and a quarter wide, so sorry about that. And then I know that it is 2 feet long, so it's 24 inches long. Now, I realize this is cutting it off, and don't worry, we'll make it so that we can see the whole thing. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into Images, and we're going to use the Cricut Access. And I know that they have an Olaf. Now, he's like $1.50 for their Olaf. So it's not a big deal. I bought him. I pre-made this sign, so I'm just going to show you guys how to do this. So you can see it's kind of being, there's a bunch of different ones. You can choose whatever you want. But a lot of them are print ones, if you notice, because they have a lot of shading. So you can actually filter out the ones that you would use for print by coming over here and choosing multi-layer. And what that does, it'll only bring up the ones that you can use to cut. Now, this is the guy I used, but again, you can use any of the one that you want. You can use anything you want, really. It doesn't even have to be Olaf. So we're going to go ahead and insert him. Once you've purchased, they are yours to keep, so you can use him whenever you want to now. So if you've already bought him, he's yours. So let's go ahead and move down towards the bottom of our block here, or our square rectangle thing. And I'm going to resize him, but you'll notice I can't really see the whole board. So what you can do is hold Control and scroll back on your mouse. And that just gives us enough space where we can space out our Olaf and figure out how big we're going to make him. Now, I do want to make him fairly large. So I want him to fill up pretty much as much of the bottom of the board as I can. And I think that's probably pretty good sized. The next thing that we're going to do is put in our text, and Olaf loves warm hugs. So we're going to put I like, and I'm pretty sure I accidentally added a letter to that. So let's just start over. I like, and then I'm going to hit enter because I want warm and hugs to be on a different line. So he's going to say, I like warm hugs. And we actually might just go ahead and make hugs a whole different line itself. So what we're going to do is make hugs a different line. And I'm going to change my font. Now forgive me, I have no idea what font I used to begin with. I don't remember. I want to say it was Alex's handwriting, but so I'm just going to find it. Again, I think it was Alex's handwriting. I'll have to go back and check for you guys. But if this wasn't it, I don't remember what it was. I do apologize. I have this saved, so I'll go back and check for sure, and I will put it in the comments down in the bottom there as to what font I used. But you guys just pick whatever font you like. It doesn't have to be, it might have actually been April's regular. Guess what? Found it. It's April's regular, so I don't have to do that for you guys. But this is what we're going to use. And I'm going to make sure, whoops, I'm going to undo that because I didn't mean to move Olaf. What we're going to do is we're going to move our words to where we want them. But they're really super spaced out line-wise. So we're going to use our line spacing up here in the upper like center. And we're just going to reduce our line spacing. Now, it takes a lot to reduce a line spacing. So I usually just type in -3 and see how close that gets me rather than using the down arrow. And I think that's actually pretty good. And we're just going to resize this to size that we like. That's probably pretty good. Again, this may not be exact to the sizes that are on my board because I did that one and then I realized I should have filmed designing it. So now that we've done that part, we're going to add in our snowflakes. And I used all snowflakes from Design Space. So let's just type in, we're going to do two things. We're going to type in snowflake. And it helps if you spell it right. So we're typing snowflake, and then I'm going to filter them. I'm going to just filter the ones that I get from Cricut Access because I don't want to spend any more money than the $1.49 that Olaf cost me. Now at this point, choose whatever snowflakes you want. If you want something super intricate, that's fine. I just chose kind of ones that were a little simple just because I think that's just the look I wanted to go for. It doesn't really have to be anything too crazy, so just choose a bunch. And I'm going to choose a couple that have some multi-layers to them so that I can show you guys how I removed those layers. Again, this is all a matter of preference as to what you guys want to design. So don't worry about it if it's, different than mine. That is perfectly okay. I always encourage creativity. So we're going to insert our images, and it's going to bring up a whole bunch of images. And you'll notice that some of these snowflakes are multi-layered, which we don't really want for the way I'm going to design mine, like this one, for example. So what I do, and you can do one of two things. You can come over to your layers panel, and where there's this little eyeball, you can just click that away. But I don't like doing that. I actually like to be able to just have one single layer. So I ungroup them, and then I take the piece that I want and move it over here, and I take the piece that I don't, and I just take it away. I don't need it. I don't want it. So I just do that with all the ones that are multi-layers. It just cleans up my layers panel for me, so I don't have so much to look at. Like I said, this is all a personal preference. If you want to do it where you just use the eyeball to get rid of that layer, that's perfectly okay. But if, like me, you want to just get rid of, the layer completely, this is how you do it. You just click on group, take the layer you want to keep, move it to the side, click delete. Do that with each one that you want to get rid of their extra layers. So I'm just going to ungroup it and delete it. And then we're just going to ungroup it and delete it. And again, you can keep whichever piece of it you want. Some of them, obviously, like this one, you wouldn't really need that at all. But now we've reduced them all to just one layer. And like I said, I just think it helps kind of, you know, me see it better and see what I'm working with. So let's go ahead and zoom back out. And now we're just going to lay out our snowflakes. And I know I want to put like one down here. Again, these are totally different snowflakes than what I used. So if you want my exact snowflakes, you'll have to really watch what I do and look at the picture, because I don't even know what I used. I just picked a bunch. And I just resized them all so that they would fit in different spots on my sign. So I know I wanted to kind of fill in some blank spots by Olaf. I wanted to maybe fill in like a little spot here. This is all just whatever you guys want to do with it. I'm just going to throw them in here for now because I'm going to show you guys how to make them. So obviously we're going to have like a zillion different colors, and I didn't want that. I only had 3 like sparkly colors that I thought would look good on my sign. And I thought, gee, this is just too much. It looks too messy. So I'm going to get rid of the background because we don't need this anymore. We have everything fitting in. And so what I did was I would select a snowflake, hold Control, and select 2 other snowflakes. And then I would just click Attach. That makes those snowflakes the same color. I move them over just to get them out of my way. I already know how I'm going to lay them out, so it's no big deal. Then what I'll do is I'll just select 2 other snowflakes, and I'll click Attach again. And again, that's going to make them all the same color. And then we'll just attach these last 2 and make them the same color. Now what that does, you have 3 colored snowflakes. You're gonna want to go back and detach them so that they don't take up a ton of space when you print or when you cut them on your vinyl. So select them and go down here, and I know this is really small, so let's go ahead and zoom back in. So I have them selected. You'll see I have these dark blue ones selected right now, and you just want to detach. And that's all you're going to do. You're just going to make sure you detach each and every one of them. And when you do that, you'll see you can now move them all independently. Now, I did that just like I said, so we could save on vinyl. So if you click Make It, now that we've gotten this far, you're going to see you do have quite a few colors that you need. So you're going to need white for Olaf, black for his outline and for his words. Now, I don't like the words down here. It takes up vinyl, and you can actually fit the words really easily right next to him, either up here at the top. So I just move them. And to move things, you just click them on the mat. That's all you have to do. You got orange for his nose, brown for his hair and his eyebrows and his arms, gray for his buttons. You have 1 shade of blue for his mouth. And then there are 3 other colors for your snowflakes. For my snowflakes, I used the Starcraft Magic Deceit. I used it in like a light blue, a dark blue, and then the silver. Please forgive me. I have no idea what the actual names are for those. So we can go ahead and click Make It. And I'm just going to show you guys, just make sure when you're doing this, one tip I have is what I do is I make sure that I have all my colors ready before I even click Make It. So I go and I find my white and I lay it down. I find my black and I lay it down. My orange, I lay it down. I just make sure I have everything. And I make sure that everything's ready and in order before I cut, because you want to make sure that you're cutting the right item on the right color. So when you have this many mats, which we have 9, you just want to make sure that you are cutting them all with the same. Now, this is telling me that my image is bigger than the 11.5 by height, but that's okay. It's just Olaf, and he is larger. And that's totally, perfectly okay. So we're just going to tell it okay. And we'll just click continue so you guys can see. Now my machine is not plugged in, so, but when you go, you're going to select vinyl. The Starcraft Magic Deceit cuts directly on the vinyl setting. So it's very, very easy to do. So I'm going to get this all cut out. We're going to weed it. I'm going to show you guys how you can layer Olaf. It's really, really fun, super easy. So let's get it started. We're going to start by layering Olaf. For him, I can actually lay a lot of this stuff just like it's a sticker. So I don't have to use transfer tape because like these little pieces like his nose and these buttons I already laid down. So all I do is I just peel them off of the backing and then I line them up on his backing. So because he doesn't have to sit on top of anything else. And with his nose, I'm actually going to start at the tip of his nose. And if you're a little bit off, it's okay. You can just peel it right back off, which is why I like doing it without the transfer tape. Because that was just a little bit off, so I'm just going to fix it. It just needs to be a little further down by his eyeball. And there. That's why I do it this way, because then you can move them a little bit if you need to. And like we'll go in and his arms and stuff that don't stick to anything, we'll have to do those separately onto the black silhouette that is his body. But we can do his mouth and all that type of stuff without the transfer tape. And I can do his eyebrows. His hair will have to be put on the black silhouette. I just find this to be a little bit easier for me. It's all going to just depend on how you guys want to do it. And what character you're doing. If you're doing a character, if you're just doing something else, you know, it's all a personal preference thing. Like, see, I put that way too far down. So I can just easily peel it right back up and place it a little closer to his teeth. Usually I'll have a picture of the decal pulled up, but he's pretty simple. I pretty much know where all his PC parts go because he's Olaf and he's just very, like, recognizable. But if it's one that I'm not real familiar with, I'll usually pull up their picture while I'm doing this so I can see it better and see what I'm doing. But as you can see, his eyebrows and his hair will go on, but his hair will have to go on onto the black. But we can get his eyebrows in, and you can see starting to look like Olaf. So now we're going to take transfer tape, and we'll transfer tape over this guy, and we're going to make sure that it's bigger because we want it to be able to go over like the arms and stuff. So I will usually take, and this is medium tack transfer tape from 651vinyl.com. And I'm just going to leave it in one big sheet. I'm going to move all this stuff over. And all I'm going to do is lay it down. And I do see I've got a bubble already. So I'm just going to pull it back a little bit. And don't press it down right away because you can pull your bubbles out pretty easily. Like I can just see there's a bubble right by his head. So we'll just pull it off, set it down, no big deal. And then we're just going to make sure that he doesn't have any other significant bubbles. And like I said, I made it bigger than he is because we're going to use it to put on the black where his arms are and stuff. So we're going to just go ahead and just peel this right off. Now we can go over to his black side before we do the rest of it, and we can lay his brown parts, so his hair and his arms. The hair might be a little bit more difficult just because it has several little pieces to it, but what I'll do is I'll usually line like one piece up. I don't know how well you guys can see this, but I'll line one piece up and then I'll line the next piece up and the next piece. I just find this an easier way to do it rather than layering it on my project. This just gives me a little bit more room for human error, and I'm not the best at layering. As you can see, like, see how this part isn't quite right? That's okay because we didn't actually stick it down yet, and it's just stuck to vinyl on backing. So it's really easy to peel it right back up and line it up better down here at the bottom, which is where I can see I'm running into an issue right here because we've got a little bit of a bubble. So what I'm going to do is just pull it back up again. And I'm just going to try to make sure that it gets laid down nice and flat. And we may actually need to redo this whole thing because it's not quite even with where it's supposed to be at the end. So let's just go ahead and just peel it back up. And when you do this, just be very careful to not like fold it over on itself, that kind of stuff. You just need to be a little bit more careful with it. But I'm going to just redo it. Now again, there are a million ways to do these. This may just not be what you like to do. Sometimes with these smaller ones, I do use transfer tape. I might transfer tape his arms because these aren't lining up perfectly like I thought they would on the black. There's like an angle to them. And I think I'm just not getting that part quite angled the right way. So maybe what I'm going to start doing is using the hair follicles or the actual strands of hair to line it up a little bit better. And if I can't do this, I may recut it, just so I can kind of get a better piece of his hair off of this one. But if I can't get it to line up like this, we'll transfer tape it and see if maybe we can do a better job. That's actually pretty good. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways you guys can layer. You can layer them, you know, on the transfer tape. You can layer them on your project. There we go. That's pretty good. He's Olaf. He's not like 100% perfect, but I am going to transfer tape his arms so you guys can see how to do it that way. So I'm just going to take a little bit of transfer tape. Now remember, we will have to peel this transfer tape off because we have other transfer tape that's going on top of it. So keep that in mind when you're doing it this way. Don't layer too many transfer tapes on top of each other or you're never going to get them off. Now make sure you have his hands in the right direction. You know which arm is which. And we're just going to lay it down. And I didn't really push very hard because I don't really want it super stuck to the transfer tape. I just want it stuck enough that I can line it up. And then I'm just going to line it up. And then we're just going to peel it right off. So you guys can see it's really easy. I'm just going to use the same piece of transfer tape just on his other arm. No big deal. And again, I didn't really press it, so I'm just going to peel it off instead of actually like pressing it and working at getting it off correctly. I don't want it super stuck down. So we'll just gently peel it off. And then you're just going to lay your other hand down, or your arm down, just like so. And then you can peel off your transfer tape. Now, if you stick it to another piece of the vinyl, just peel it off of it. It's okay. It's not a big deal. This is just the back piece, so it's really not too bad. I'm going to apologize now. We have a kitten. I don't know if you guys can see it now. This is our kitten. She's new. But she's very curious, always wants to get involved in everything, so we have to constantly keep kicking her out of our projects. Okay, so now we're ready to do the big Olaf. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip him upside down, as I do feel there's a bit of a wrinkle here. And I'm going to peel him off of the backing this way. And that way I can just make sure all that white sticks down really nice. Because like his little foot over here didn't really stick. And again, I didn't press this down real hard because I just didn't think we needed to. For me, I just don't like to, if I'm not going to keep it on this transfer tape and I want to get it off really easily, I don't press my stuff down really hard. As long as it's sticking, you're good. Now with Olaf here, he is really large, so you're going to want to be careful when peeling him to make sure that all his piecey parts stay stuck. Okay, so now we have the white part, and then let me move all this junk so we have a little more space. And we're going to take our black part. Now, doing a large piece like this, you just want to take your time. You don't want to rush him. And I like to stand up so I can get a better overview. And a lot of times I will trim off some of this extra, so let's go ahead and do that. It's a little bit too much on him, and it's hard to maneuver. So if we need to add some to his arms, it's fine. I'll just keep the extra pieces to the side. Sometimes it just makes it too hard to maneuver what you're trying to do or see through it. Ow, and the kitten is now climbing my leg. Again, she really likes to be involved in everything I do, and she likes to climb me. So, as cute as she is, she cannot do that. Okay, so let's do it. And let's flip him over. Now, again, with this guy, he's Olaf. He's not always like 100% centered or perfect. So, if he's a little off, it's okay. I actually think that's pretty gosh darn good for my first attempt there, sticking him down. Now with this, you can easily push your bubbles out, so do that while he's on the transfer tape. I am going to need to add a little bit, sorry, this kitten is about to get booted across the floor. She's being bad. Oh, sorry, she just keeps going at my leg there. We're going to need to add a little bit up here for his hair, and then a little bit over here for his arms. So all I'm going to do is just slap some on there. And that's why I keep these little extra bits, because you can just slap them on and add them as you need to. And then we'll just press it. Alright. He is ready to go on to our board. So let's get over to the board and we can get him put on. Let our wood dry. It's dried probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours. So we're ready to put Olaf on. Now for him, I'm going to actually just probably roll him off of the transfer tape as I lay him down. That should help get less bubbles in it, I hope. This is one of the bigger ones I've done, and definitely the most layered one I've done in a really long time. So I'm just going to kind of mess with it. Now, to line it up, for him, I don't think he needs to be 100% perfect centered. We just need to make sure that his arm stays on the board and that he's fairly straight and kind of a little closer to the bottom. Because of the way I have this laid out on Design Space, I kind of know where he needs to sit because we have all those snowflakes and his little saying that need to go on the board as well. So again, all I'm doing is just pulling him off of the backing in a smooth motion, and I'm just pushing him as I'm going so that it's laying down flat. And that should, with any luck, give us far less bubbles. So now that we've got him on the board, we just need to get our squeegee, and we're going to press him. And I'm going to push him back a little bit. And hopefully you guys can still see him pretty well. I'm going to push him back a little bit. Now, I will say that he is not perfectly lined up. I can tell you right here is a spot where he's not lined up. His leg was too far over. But listen, we are our worst critics, and I don't think anyone but me will notice once it's done, so I'm fine with it. So let's just go ahead and see if we got him pretty well stuck down. Now, being that he's larger, I am going to carefully peel him nice and slow. And we're just going to go slowly, section by section here. And just kind of make sure that he comes up. Now, usually I don't like to peel the same direction of my wood grain. But this one actually has been really, really good about not coming up as I peel. Part of it could be the way I'm letting it dry, and part of it also could be that this transfer tape's pretty good for that. So it doesn't seem to peel as badly as some of the others have been. When I do stencils and stuff, it'll peel sometimes. I think that's because I use 651, which is a permanent vinyl. But it's just something I prefer. So let's keep peeling, peeling and peeling. We're almost done. Careful with his last little bits of hair. And there we have Olaf. We've got a couple small bubbles, but nothing that cannot be worked out. There's some in his little mouth, which I'm sure is from actually when I put the blue down for his mouth. But there you go. You guys can see him. He's pretty good on there. So next thing we're going to do is do his little quote. And I'm going to grab that and put that on the transfer tape, and then we can put that down. I've got my little quote, and we're going to line it up right over here. I just reused the transfer tape from his body, because why waste it? It's still good. It's still sticky. You just want to make sure everything sticks. And then let me grab my squeegee. Like I said, we're going to just line this up right over here. This doesn't have to be exactly perfect. I just got to figure out how I had it on the screen versus how it's going to fit. Because obviously, like, sometimes when you go to put it on your project, they may not always fit perfectly. So you may need to move things around a little bit, because see, the exclamation point's going to end up in his head. So we may just need to move it around a little bit more. I don't want it on him anywhere, so I may just move it up a bit. It's right here. I think right there is pretty good. That looks pretty nice. So we're going to go ahead and get the quote stuck down. Now, if you have a piece that doesn't want to stay stuck down, you can just rub it a little bit more with your squeegee. And I apologize for the noise in the background. I have a kitten chewing on a box. Oh, she is just something else lately. I think she's teething right now, so if you guys have teething kittens or kids, I will pray for you. Alright, now you can see how easily that stuck down. It's pretty simple to do these signs, honestly. A lot of people do seem to struggle with getting their vinyl to stick. I think it just takes a little extra pressure and patience. So let's go ahead and we'll get the snowflakes and we can lay those out. I've laid out the snowflakes in just sort of a pattern matching what I did on Design Space. So all I'm going to do is, again, just use the transfer tape and just lay them down. Use the squeegee to press them down. In case I haven't said it, I will make sure I say it now. This is Starcraft Magic Deceit. This is a permanent glitter vinyl. It is not like Cricut or some of those other glitter vinyls where it's like textured on top. It's smooth, but it gives you a beautiful glittery appearance without the glittery feel and the difficulty in weeding, as well as the difficulty applying it. So I got that one done, and then we're going to put the one by his feet, and hopefully this won't tip, but it's going to. So there's a bigger one that goes down by his feet. I think this piece of transfer tape will fit over it just barely, so we'll go ahead and use it again. Again, I like to reuse my transfer tape as much as possible because why not? It's one of those things that you're not going to keep, so you might as well get as much use out of it as you can. With these, again, I do like to tip them over upside down and peel the backing from them. It just, especially with these little lines, it just gives you a little more control peeling it off. And I do these at a little bit tighter of an angle. And then all I'm going to do is just figure out where I want to place this. And these don't have to be exact, honestly. This is all up to what you guys want to do. You know, you don't have to make my exact designs. These are just ideas and ways to get you guys kind of started with something, and you guys can make them as creative and personalized as you want from there. So we have this one put down. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these since you guys got to see me put 2 of them down. And once we do that, we can drill the holes for the lights. We finished our sign, and I know I said I was going to drill holes for lights, but after I put this all together, I just love it so much without, so we're not going to add any holes into this one. But maybe in the next tutorial or so, we'll do a lighted sign. But I just love how he came out. It was so fun to put together. He is so cute. It was so easy. I hope you guys had a lot of fun learning how to layer Olaf and how to use stain and apply vinyl to your stained wood. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I am always happy to answer those for you. If you're looking for any tutorials, please let me know that in the comments down below as well. I make these tutorials because you guys request them. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos all the time. Hit the bell icon because that'll alert you to when I post a new video. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy crafting.